Okay, our second presenter today is Janie Hanson and Dina Lahre with HansonLahre. We'll be a little speedier on the technology setup, sorry about that before, and we'll get started.
You guys are all so quiet. Those people that when it's quiet, I have to make noise. All right, can you hear me? The microphone all right? Check yours.
Quite okay.
All right. Hi, I'm Janie Hanson, and this is Dina Lahre, and together we founded HansonLahre. This is the first company to come out of the Connect to Gray platform. So Dina and I met about a year and a half ago at the Executive Women in Agriculture Conference in Chicago, and from there we put our gray matter together, and we realized we connected because we are both from farming communities. I'm from Frost in southern Minnesota here, and Dina's from Windfall, Indiana. But since leaving home, myself to study art and environmental science, her with math and galaxies. So we come from the arts and the math science world, but our connection is finance. So our professional backgrounds have taken us. Myself, I did renewable energy development with John Deere and energy finance and risk management at GE, and ran an art gallery in New York before moving back. Dina was a commodity grain trader, Florida Chicago Board of Trade, and a software developer in Kansas City.
And that leads us into why we're here, and we have chosen to attack problems in the agricultural rural sector, and we see three major problems that we're going to attack with this effort. Low commodity prices, farm succession, and what we call dependence on monocrops. And the first problem that we're attacking is low farmer pricing, and the fact that 80% of farmers do not use futures or options to hedge their commodity risk. Now, what this means is that when prices go way down, like they've done for the last 3, 4, 5 years, we have enormous financial pressure on the farmers. Had they used the tool that we're building, they would have saved $100,000 a year. So, it's really about moving farmers into the 21st century using technology and using risk management tools that Cargill, Continental Grain, all the big shooters do. And what this does is leads us to our second problem, which Janie is involved in.
So who here either is a farmer or knows a farmer? All right. How many farmers do you know that like being told what to do? They're a pretty independent bunch, and so that's with the Croptimize tool that Dina's developed. It gives recommendations. It doesn't tell you what to do, so it gives farmers the tools to decide and to understand their risk. And the next step with that is how do you plug that into your financial planning, into your cash flow, look at what your revenue projections would be, your valuation for the farm. The average age of the farmer in the U.S. right now is over 58, and millions of acres of farmland will change hands over the next decade. It's difficult, that's a problem that is very emotionally charged. It's family business. You might have multiple siblings on or off the farm. This gives a way to put some of those numbers into black and white, run some scenarios, come up with some things yourself before you go and talk to an advisor, whether it's a lawyer, accountant, tax planner, those types of things. So really making a tool that can do some of the analytics even if you don't come from the finance background.
And the final problem, which is to attack what we call monocropping. We have the vast majority of what we call red state agriculture in America is growing corn and soybeans, wheat in certain areas, but the main problem is corn and soybeans, especially in this area. And what we're doing is we're going to build a blockchain to help these farmers evolve away from monocropping into more sustainable, smaller crops that are identifiable and are able to gather more money per acre. So by doing this, we will be able to use smart contracts. We'll be able to use property protections for IP and the physical assets themselves. Transparency along the entire supply chain. So like if you're growing grass-fed cattle, you can actually be in Whole Foods and we can identify exactly, not the farm, but the actual cow that your food came from. We're also going to be able to generate a marketplace, and we're creating a cryptocurrency token called BEX for this exchange, and to smooth out all of these transactions as we transfer from monocropping to a more sustainable, ecological type of use of the farmland. And believe it or not, we're going to take all this technology, all my tools, all my computational science, we're moving it all to Blue Earth, Minnesota.
Why Blue Earth, you might ask? It's the site of the Rural Renaissance Project. We're doing a demonstration project here, bringing arts, technology, local foods there. And one of the problems I've seen from being a farmer who's lived on the coast in the financial entrepreneurship world is people are developing ag tech solutions without having set foot on the farmland or talk to farmers. So we thought it would be best to locate in the community that we're working with. So here's a brief video, courtesy of our friends at Social Butterfly. Hi, I'm Jamie Hanson. I grew up here in Blue Earth, Minnesota, population 3,500. Actually, I grew up on a farm just outside of town, but went to high school here and have maintained my roots in this farming community. After college, I moved away and lived in big cities such as New York, London, Sydney, and realized that with some investment and some creativity, we could bring some of the best of the cities back to the small town, bringing things like tech connections, arts venues, local foods, supporting utilities such as high-speed internet, clean water and electricity, and access to medical services and health and wellness programs. But those could be the pillars or the foundation for driving economic development, livability, quality of life, and driving meaningful change in these rural communities. So right here in Blue Earth, we're going to be using these buildings here on Main Street as the template and demonstration site for this Rural Renaissance project.
And I guess we're going to jump ahead and tell you what we're looking for and what's next. As you can see, it's mostly coders, mathematicians, statisticians, connection people, as we call it, which is marketing and sales. And of course, like our previous guest, we're always looking for money as well to roll out some of these projects, because they are certainly not cheap. So anyway, do we have any questions?